My name is Holly Harrison. I am the Garden and Food Resources Coordinator for Open Door Community Health here in Crescent City. Okay, so reviewing some of the planting we did in Sunny's bed, we did a couple different methods. We did row planting when we were planting the carrots, the beets, and the radishes. And that's where you set up a string and a string, or a pole and a pole and a string, and then you follow the lines so you have straight planting. Banding planting, or banded planting, is you have this area that you're going to plant, so you shake the seed in a thick mass, making sure there's a little bit everywhere across the whole area that you're planting. Hill planting is where you create a little hill, and then you plant, squash or pumpkins or cucumbers in that. We didn't do that in Sunny's bed because we had them in peat pots. And so that's kind of creates its own little hill, like within itself, it's fine. Another technique we did in Sunny's bed was we interplanted some of the lettuce plants and kohlrabi on top or in between the banded and the row planting of carrots. So you can do this because brassicas like kohlrabi like things going down to break down the, like taproots, carrots, help break open the soil, so the plants have an easier time of growing. And it can also add to the soil nutrients, and it also can enhance the flavors of the lettuce and the brassicas as well. So there are different types of containers you can use for vegetable gardening in containers. 5-gallon containers, 1-gallon containers, and then there's also a new gardening fad of using fabric pots for vegetables as well. And so this is a 3-gallon container, and this is a 15-gallon container. You can grow potatoes in them, you can grow tomatoes in them, you can grow lots of things, or you could just do a diversified little vegetable like garden in here as well. And the other thing I wanted to mention, because we live in an area with lots of gophers, when planting in the ground, if you're worried about gophers getting to your harvest, basically you dig a hole, create a gopher cage out of hardware wire. You can't use chicken wire because the gophers can get through the chicken wire, and this prevents the gophers from chewing through the roots of your vegetables. So when you go to plant, so you dig a hole, put this in there, fill it in with dirt, and then you plant your plants in here, and it protects the gophers from getting to the roots of your vegetables that you're trying to grow. And then one other container that you can use for growing tomatoes as well are the topsy-turvy ones. This one I got at a thrift store. Basically, you upside down plant your tomato, and it just grows it in a different way. If you don't have room at your house for plants in the ground, you could hang this off your patio. It's a very, very sunny kitchen window. So there are lots of ways that you can grow food at home without having an ideal garden. When you go to plant your garden in containers, you want to use potting soil specifically for using plants in containers, just because it helps retain moisture, it helps with aeration, and it also is just a better growing environment rather than digging soil out of the ground and putting it in a pot. So we're going to plant our bicolored cherry tomato here. So when you plant tomatoes, you can see that these are little nodes or stems coming out, roots coming out of the side. And when you go to plant, you can actually plant the tomato deeper than the current soil level in the pot. You can almost even go up to just right here. And so when we plant it, it's going to go in here like this, slightly bigger hole. And then you're going to just remove the leaves. And this helps create a stronger root system for your tomato plant. Like this. Make sure it's level. And then you're going to fill the soil in around your plant. Make sure to cover up all of those stems you just removed the leaves from. Another thing you want to do when you're planting soil in containers is you don't want to plant up to the level of the pot, you want to give it anywhere from like a half an inch to an inch. So there's room to add water after you've done your plant. I'm just going to finish from the soil like this. That, and then you always want to label your plants so you know what is growing. And there you go. In a short time you'll have a very healthy tomato plant with lots of tomatoes. So here are the seed leaves, and then these are the true leaves emerging. Another tip when starting your seeds, if you want to give your plants a head start on the season, you can use peat pots. And these are good for plants that don't like their roots being touched. So like squash or pumpkins, zucchini, cucumber, you can start them inside, and basically this pot breaks down when it's planted in soil and water hits it, and then so it just decomposes and your plant keeps on growing. You can start sunflowers in them, things that have a deep tap root like poppies or borage, and it's a good way to get a head start on your season if you want to get things going ahead of time. In hanging planters or planters that mount on the wall, it's a great idea because the strawberry plants are basically hanging plants, and you get a lot more fruit harvest off of the plant because you don't have to deal with the bugs and the snails and the critters and the squirrels that come and eat your strawberries when they're planted in the ground. And this way the technique is fun for kids too because it's a whole lot easier for them to harvest and eat them. And you actually, I think the flavor is better when you do it this way because they get a lot more sunshine. Flowers in your bed, your garden bed, is a great idea. Marigolds help repel, it's like a natural insect repellent, and it helps repel all the insects that would want to come and eat your plants. And nasturtiums are good as a trap crop. Like insects will come and try to eat the nasturtiums first before they move on to your crops that you're growing. So it's a good way to deter critters from eating your garden.
It won't just attract more.
No, it shouldn't.